Welcome back to my channel, Cancer. Much love and thanks out to my existing subscribers and all those that are new to my channel. Welcome. I always appreciate your support and your time. Quick reminder again, these are general readings. Can't speak to everybody. You're all at different stages of your life, so please allow for a little bit of flexibility here on the time frames. You're not all sharing the same life story. So again, general reading, and this is for the month of March 2021. I'm trying out some different techniques here, so this again is a general reading, but I will be doing a second video very shortly, which will be for Cancer for March 1st through to the 14th, career, money, and finance. So this first aspect to the reading is predominantly coming through as more of an emotional reading. So I don't generally tend to do a lot of romance readings and that kind of thing, but if there is some energy around that, I will follow up with a general reading on that. So in this particular instance, the general reading is coming out with some very strong emotions that you're going to be dealing with for the period of March 2021. So again, that's the whole month of March and general reading. But it does speak to, first off, I should just mention I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot deck by Kim Kranz and the Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor, as well as the Rider-Waite deck as clarifiers. So the Kim Kranz deck is a really unique deck, and it definitely has some different interpretations on some of the meanings of the cards. So please, just go with some of the indulgences on the meanings here, because they're a little bit deeper than what some of the other oracle decks touch on. But first card out speaks to having the feeling that you are especially connected to the one. So the one true love, which for some of you is going to represent somebody that you have recently met or have known, and for others this is a new love that's coming in. But either way, the card depicts that one true love as something that cannot be held, owned, controlled, only experienced. And although love unites us, it is often elusive and fleeting. So we feel most ourselves actually when we're within that duality of connectedness. So when that moment passes, then you're aware of how potent those special moments were, because it's past, and then you start to understand that, this is a time when you were truly seen and heard, and it was reflected back to you, and that is the gift of love. This is, that feeling, that moment of truly being loved. Is what is considered the gift from the universe. But the card of the one, when clarified, speaks to a lot of communication coming in for the month of March. So, and that'll be between you and someone that you love. There's a lot of communication, whether that's through media, whether it's through phone calls, but there's a lot of back and forth energy here. And it is also followed up with the Eight of Cups. I feel it's more of a healing energy for the month of March. So there may be some passionate moments or some exchange of heartfelt sentiment, but it certainly still feels like there's a period of healing here in that communication. So you might be feeling that the energy is not all positive. But with the card of the one, and again being clarified by the Eight of Wands and the Ace of Cups, it does speak to, for others of you, new love that's coming in. And again, this would be quicker energy with the Eight of Wands. So it is something that's coming in for you rather rapidly here. But for others, this is a second chance or a renewed sense of interest in one another. And there's a lot of passion being expressed with that Ace of Wands also present. But there is some happy emotional event that's coming in for you this month. But again, with all the energy of the wands, I feel that it's going to take some effort for you to bring this energy out, for this, for there's to be some kind of a healing. Somebody's having to put forth some energy to help to resolve these past issues. And certainly for others, to bring in that energy, you're going to have to actually put yourself out there or interact with other people. There's some energy that has to be put out, basically, to whatever group I'm speaking to. You're both going to be affected, but there is going to be some energy that has to be put out to resolve or to bring in this new romance. So it does look like there's going to be, again, in looking at some of the other cards here with the Five of Pentacles, and certainly with the King of Swords, and we also have the Emperor. This combination of cards speaks to me as past issues that revolved around control, harsh words, not working together. Someone may have imposed their will on another, and there's an element of self-protection here and someone dealing with self-worth issues. But I feel that with the King of Swords here, that someone may have cut off another to protect themselves from strong emotions or strong words. But either way, there's a high degree of rigidity here and a strong masculine energy that's coming through from both the King of Swords and the Emperor that's present. So I feel this could be speaking to really just one person with these attributes, but whether that represents you or another person, or again, it could be the combination, but it certainly speaks to someone who is quite a dominant kind of person, and again may have had a suppressive energy on another person or cut them right off. But I do feel the positive attributes of the person would be that this is someone who's quite capable and has leadership qualities, but may still also be very conservative, but to the far extreme, this is somebody who comes off as overly dominant and oppressive, but it also can be someone who holds a grudge, and there might be a lot of drama emotionally and a lot of resentment that comes through here as well. But I feel this person is strongly reconnecting with someone in March. So whether, again, this is you or another that's reaching out, certainly that energy for a resurgence of this relationship and healing around it is there. With the Temperance card, as well as the depth of the emotions, and it could be a water sign. We're also dealing here with the Queen of Pentacles, could be dealing with that. But again, with that Temperance card present, there's some healing taking place and a sense of having survived a tough time and things turning around and certainly starting to improve here with this combination of cards. Also, with the Ace of Wands, there is some kind of new beginning. So we also had the Ace of Cups, and we also have the Ace of Wands. So the universe is presenting something to you as an opportunity to, reignite the spark or the passion within this relationship, or to give it a fresh new beginning. You're looking at things from a fresh new angle. You're looking at things with new eyes. You're able to go forward anyway in a new way. But it also can speak to a reawakening of your true self and self-love and things along that line as well. Because it is followed up by the Healer. And again, lots of cards of healing coming through for the month of March. So the Healer card speaks to remembering things that connected you, the source of yourself, the things that you're grateful for. It's a reawakening of your true self, your security apart from the ego. So where you did feel centered, coming from the core, and you're able to see your past discomfort in that situation as it existed, and approach it from a whole new, broader understanding, and you're seeing things more as a whole versus one aspect of it. So, healing is not linear. It's more of a circuitous process. So healing takes place on a number of different levels, a number of different angles, and you're having to look at yourself and the other person in a number of different ways to be able to overcome whatever it is you're dealing with. So whatever caused your suffering becomes a disease of the mind or a blockage, and it's also a denial of your strengths in favor of your weaknesses. So this is where you need to see things from the core of your being. You need to be able to understand that, not to be afraid of the pain, because this allows you to deepen the relationship. So the Healer is a card of an old soul, and one who is more open and awakened to the power of a strength that you're tapping into this month. So this is where you're releasing any limiting behaviors, you're realizing your self-worth, you're seeing things from within. It's not really an externally based ego consciousness. You have the power to forgive another person here because you realize that the pain was not something to fear. When you're in touch with your inner love for yourself, you can embrace the same in another, despite the imperfections of the situation or the original cause of pain. So next card out is the prayer. So the prayer is to reach to spirit and to connect with a teacher within. So through the extension of yourself toward spirit and divinity, you're actually able to lose any self-centered thinking and become present and empowered by surrendering to an old hurt self. So what was once wounded is now quiet and humble and ready to concede to the inner strength and the wisdom of spirit. So you're preparing yourself by opening up first to yourself and then externally. So when you know how to feel deeply, you see deeply more of yourself. The light of another, to bring into this awareness, is to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it, to see the light of another, you have to draw upon a certain kind of awareness where you're actually able to heal and love and appreciate yourself so that you can do the same for another. So until you see it within yourself, you can't have someone else love you in that same way, because you have to know how you would want to be loved, and to connect with somebody else in a separate union like that. A union serves as a mirror to reflect the areas where you both need to heal yourselves first and foremost, and then you heal the connection at a conscious level. So you're healing from within, and then that sort of mirrors out to the external, is what the card is how the card expresses it. So again, for others, you're going to be welcoming new love as you open and close the doors within. The same doors will also open and close outside of you. That's where the mirror takes place. So many of you have lost that resistance and the struggle in this month. You're actually opening up you're to source, and you're able to see the energy emerging behind a new door. Many doors are opening, in fact, at this time, because you've done a great deal of emotional reflection and inner work to heal, and you've walked through that density, of the darker emotions and that darker path, that darker energy, metaphorically speaking. So, you're facing your inner demons and the things that you might have been denying in yourself and expecting someone else to see or to heal. But it's taking, courage, and in being honest with yourself, and finding, finally realizing that you're really dealing with your own self-reflection. So you can't accept love without first knowing how to be love, and then feel comfortable being in that energy of love, not for the sake of the emotion, but for the deeper growth that it affords you. So, meaning, we often have an expectation of how love should look as it relates to another expressing it toward us. But with so many versions of love out there, the one true love is how we show love to ourselves. When someone else sees that you're grounded and secure with who you are, and you're not in your ego, then you're able to free up your energy and your time you have a much more open heart, and you're actually able to align because you're seeking the same in another. If the other person hasn't been able to heal themselves, they will repel your love because they haven't found it within themselves yet. So being open to love is still a risk, but the wound is not going to be something that you focus on. And I'm going to use the analogy of riding a bike. For example, when you're riding a bike, as a younger person, you first learn to ride the bike, you fall off the bike, you scrape your knee, but you get right back onto the bike. And in fact, that helps to propel you forward to ride other bikes, to drive cars, to get onto a horse. And so it actually initiates a process of expansion despite the wound. So you actually are able to appreciate that first bike ride despite the wounding, because it opened up other parts of yourself so that you were actually able to enjoy the experience as a whole, knowing that the wounding, there's always a little bit of a risk with whatever you choose to trial for the first time or see in a different way. So as I say, there's many different types of love out there. So you're going to be experiencing love in different ways with different people. Everybody loves differently. They won't all love as we love. So anyway, my point is that, to love oneself speaks to a higher vibrational love, and where it's less about limits and it's more about healthy boundaries. That connection either grows toward a center or it moves you further out away from that center line. So, which creates, an end or an end to the old foundation, or both of you are giving up the old structure in lieu of a new offering, that Ace of Wands and that Ace of Cups, a deeper commitment to the ideals of love versus the ideals of self. So if you expect of love, then it's outside of the connection. When you share love, there's a broader reciprocal choice to reach out and understand the struggles of another. So to say it another way, limits are guards to cap where boundaries failed. So to place limits upon what you will take is to tell another that they're not acceptable. But to step back and share your love with appropriate boundaries of respect is to see the heart as a place to expand in a safe environment. So limits restrict, boundaries provide an environment to heal from the pains and grow within a space of understanding. So remember all things that touched your heart, both within a relationship and outside of it. It puts your heart in a place central to your actions, behaviors, and thoughts when interacting with another from the same space. And again, that might even reflect back to that analogy of, the scraped knee and the bike. So again, this card makes reference to, thinking about your heart space. And of course, with the card of, the dead end as well as the heart, you're ending an old way, an old cycle, and you are starting out with a brand new beginning here. So another way to look at it is, hopefully my analogies come through clear enough here, but when you think about your heart space and you detail how that feels, think of it in terms of the way the card expresses it is that, when you're thinking about a dark cave and it's void of any real image or sensory experiences, versus a waterfall that's surrounded by a small nook of flowers and beautiful vegetation and the sound of running water and birds chirping. You want to be able to look at your heart space, and that's your home base. So you want it to be saturated with all the things that you love. You don't want to define love from one angle. Love is expansive. You don't want to just look at it as I didn't get what I needed physically or I didn't get what I needed emotionally. You want to be able to see and understand it and able to heal from it, by looking at it from all angles. So again, when you're riding the bike, you can look at it from, I hurt myself on that bike, so I'm not going to ride the bike again. Or you can look at it from the whole of the experience where I was on the bike, I scraped my knee, but I also had a really enjoyable day and drove the bike down a long path, trail for 4 miles and went into nature and saw this and that. Like you have to look at the whole of that scenario versus trying to define that love by that one experience or that negative situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So love again is expansive. Understand your own heart space to understand how another is healing as well. So take the lessons of love as tiny reminders that you scraped your knee on the gravel while riding the bike for the first time. But the childhood reminder of that moment and all the moments thereafter of riding your first bike and many bikes still brings joy, knowing, it stood for more than just the scrape from the pavement, is what I was trying to get at there. So these parts of yourself are now acceptable here in the month of March in love. So it allows you to adjust your mindset to more about knowing your worth, your value, and you're able to adapt to a new way of thinking and connecting yourself to the beauty of yourself and to another. And you're no longer interested in wounding yourself, just because you're opening up to things from a broader perspective. You're not just seeing the scrape on your knee. You're actually able to see all the other experiences that, built up that heart center. So it's a new way to grow with, you're awakening your soul on some level here. We've got the card of all tied up. So again, this is so close to the matters of the heart. And it is further clarified with the Three of Swords. So for sure, there's definitely some matters of the heart going on here. It's a wounding that your heart is healing from this month. And again, that's further clarified with the Knight of Swords. It shows up in the past position. So I feel this is something carried over from previous months. It's not something that's just happening in the month of March. It could involve a Libra, or you're trying to find some sense of justice and level of balance and understanding as to why there was such a sudden struggle or rivalry, or for others, maybe you're more directly battling yourself with inner conflict and frustrations. But, you're trying to regulate your emotions here more logically. The Judgment card is certainly coming through as a new beginning, so something has changed here. There definitely was a foundation that needed to be restructured. So with that struggle and the erosion of that foundation, you're getting a little more clarity here coming through with the King of Swords here. So again, this also can represent that, you're dealing more logically with your emotions, or someone is, but, there may have been someone who's cut someone else off here, because of that power struggle and the Five of Wands, or there could have even been outside competition that was going on, or you just felt like you were being challenged by the situation. But the King of Swords feels like an emotionally detached person to me, that has cut off due to this heartbreak, created some distance around it. And, and again, there is a reason to be optimistic, though, because there was a lot of energy around healing. But with the Star card, this is also, bringing in, and also with that Justice card as well, and the Judgment card, I feel that some wrong has been righted in this situation. And with the Star card, it further speaks to hope for the future, and, denotes a time where difficulty is healing. It's not, it's a renewed mental stability and insight, that's allowing you to move toward this victory here. So there's some kind of, again, resurgence of passion. There's healing. There's new trust in an old relationship. You're seeing something with fresh eyes. You're able to move on in this new relationship, or see an old relationship in a new way. But it's allowing you to feel hope and happiness and peace in this union for the month of March. Those energies are starting anyway, and I'm sure it'll be a trickle effect all the way throughout, but throughout the coming months. But the combination of the Tower and the Sun is that this was some kind of blessing in disguise. It either allowed for the union to deepen, or you were able to deepen your relationship to yourself to attract new love, because there is victory over whatever deceit took place there. And, it allowed the union to deepen, as I said, but also with that victory over the deceit, you're now standing in the place of clarity that makes amends with the man holding a heart. So this is the card of, making amends with a family member or a romantic partner, or you're just feeling more balanced in your approach to love and whatever was previously imbalanced. But you're expanding and you're opening up, and you're seeing things with far more expansive attitude, and you're ready to network and think bigger and all of that, with the World card. So again, that's what I have for you on the general energies around the month of March for 2021 for you, Cancer. So hopefully the new cards were a little bit harder for me to interpret, because it is a deeper kind of read. So you just have to bear with me while I fumble through those cards and some of the meanings there. But this is kind of new for me to start out with doing some of the love aspects of it as they relate to this particular deck, the Oracle card deck, which is this deck here by Kim Cran's Archetypes. But stay safe, and I will be following up with a second video here very shortly, which is going to be the second part of this read, which relates specifically just to career, money, and finance for the first 2 weeks of March 2021, so March 1st through to March 14th. So again, stay safe and keep moving forward.